And it's a breezy one as we near journey's end in this series of The Airshow. Over the last 2 months, we've taken you to destinations all over the world to show exactly how aviation touches all of our lives. And it'll continue to do so, because tonight, prepare to peek into the future. Airline alliances, will they monopolise the future? Julian steps aboard the battleship of the 21st century. Classic aircraft with the first generation jets. Robert pays homage to Britain's temples of travel. And for Fenella, it's finally time to go it alone. Heathrow's tower is already handling as much air traffic as it can, and the industry as a whole is constantly trying to find new ways of solving the problems of congestion, like, for example, building larger aircraft. But they're also trying to find ways of flying you more cheaply, faster and higher. And it's already been talked about that passengers to Australia in the future will first be sent into space.
You may think that's fanciful, but consider this. 50 years ago, Arthur C. Clarke wrote of using vehicles in space to send messages around the world. Then it was science fiction. Now, satellite technology is part of everyday life. It was the Gulf War that saw the first widespread application of satellite technology to military aviation. Highly classified spy satellite imagery was passed to frontline squadrons, giving them a detailed picture of Iraqi targets and positions. This ability to view the battle space in minute detail was a major factor in the coalition's ability to dominate and ultimately win the war. The next challenge facing the designers is to enable live satellite data to be beamed directly into the cockpit and to do it without swamping the pilot with information. The Joint Strike Fighter will be the first frontline combat aircraft designed from scratch to blend information from its own sensors with data passed directly by off-board sensors such as AWACS, radar planes and satellites. Recent wargaming exercises in America successfully demonstrated the viability of feeding weather, threat and target data into the cockpit of an F-15, long before they would have been picked up by the aircraft's own sensors. As technology advances and warfare becomes more and more like a global video game, the ultimate question is being asked: where does the pilot fit into the world of the Terminator? This isn't just a theoretical argument. Much of the technology for pilotless combat aircraft is already proven in the NASA McDonnell Douglas X-36 test vehicle, which was flown earlier this year by an operator sitting at a desk hundreds of miles away. If the concept can be shown to work, bombing missions into hostile territory or air-to-air dogfights would no longer put the lives of Allied pilots at risk. And without a pilot on board, the aircraft could be smaller and more agile, able to pull turns of 20 G or more, which no manned plane could match. The big challenge for civil aircraft designers at the beginning of the new century will be to build aircraft large enough to cope with a doubling of passengers over the next 15 years. Airbus's 600-seat A3XX could be launched around the year 2002. But simply building bigger planes won't be enough, and radical new aircraft designs are being considered. Blending the wing with the body helps reduce the drag and cuts down the engine power needed for lift. The concept of an all-lifting civil design was successfully tested in August this year, but it could be some time before you jet off to Acapulco in one of these.
The Victorians certainly knew how to celebrate the most important form of transport of their age. Almost every city in Britain has one of these Gothic masterpieces. London's got half a dozen temples to travel. But how do the great urban gateways of today compare? I love airports. No matter how often I fly, I still get an incredible thrill knowing that I'm at the gateway to other worlds. An airport like Heathrow is a vital part of Britain's economy. 56 million passengers per year, 56,000 employees. This is the contemporary equivalent of the Great Port of London. It's also like London's true city square, where we welcome dignitaries, photograph celebrities, where criminals and terrorists plot, where lovers embrace. But is it worthy of being Britain's premier gateway? In any civil war, the most important battle is for the airport. Control the runways and you've won. Half the time at Heathrow, it feels like you're in the middle of a civil war. And I think the shopkeepers are winning. Heathrow now is a lurid shopping mall with a couple of runways attached.
The most important function of an airport terminal is smooth, enjoyable passenger experience.
Heathrow can only be an enjoyable experience if you have the shopping instincts of Imelda Marcos. But a major airport like Heathrow is also our interface with the world. For the majority of visitors to Britain, the first and last monument they'll see will look something like that. Of course, there are other airports. Not as big or brazenly commercialised as Heathrow, but they're not much more architecturally inspiring either. Now to me, that looks like a 1970s municipal swimming pool designed by the mayor's brother-in-law. It's horrible, and there's no need for that. This is claiming to be one of London's airports. London should be ashamed.
It's ugly. Yeah, no, it's excellent. But really, what you want when you come to an airport, you want to be able to travel.
You do.
And you want to do it easily.
Yeah.
You want to do it well. And you want good staff with it. And that's what you get at Luton.
It's not exactly a contemporary design statement in here either. But then, what am I going to moan about? There's almost no queues. You only have to walk from there to there. There's a couple of shops, but you don't feel as if you're being milked for every penny or peseta that you could be spending on your holiday. This airport does its job. But that's not good enough. It's perfectly possible to combine form and function in such a way that you make a building as beautiful as it is efficient, that can move the spirit as well as it moves the passengers. For me, this is a near perfect combination of elegance and efficiency, but it's actually more than that. The architecture contrives by the use of light, by the sense of space, and by the incredibly quiet acoustics for such a vast building to make you feel calm. This is an airport without anxiety. The most tranquil and elegant thing that I found back at Heathrow was a fish tank in the newly refurbished Terminal 1. Happily, the man responsible for the fish is now designing Terminal 5.
Our vision for Terminal 5 is a great passenger experience in an architecture of inspiration, of great spaces and places and personality.
But what are the chances of yet another great architectural statement being submerged in a sea of shops?
The principal rule of retailing in any good airport, and Heathrow is a good airport from that point of view, is that the retail doesn't obstruct passenger movement, the retail supports the passenger movement. I think any good building derives from the real problem that you have to solve. You can't impose an architectural statement on a set of functions. The architectural solution stems from the function, so a good building is essentially the two seamlessly welded together.
Form and function. And if you don't believe that airports reflect the form of the cities they serve, well, where do you think this departure lounge is?
Last week, if you happened to look up into the sky over the Isle of Wight, you'd have witnessed a very rare spectacle indeed, not seen in fact for over half a century. We were lucky enough to catch it as well. 8 Venoms and Vampires, the first generation of British jet fighters, flew in formation once again.
There's a huge nostalgia now for jets of the 50s and 60s. I mean, obviously Britain was very much at the forefront of world aviation with aircraft like the Vampires and the Venoms, the Meteors, the Hunters and so on. We wanted to celebrate 50 years of formation jet display teams and celebrate the fact that formation of Vampires did it 50 years ago from RAF Odium.
It appeals to me because it was one of the airplanes I trained on when I was going through training in the Air Force. I think historically the Vampire is now a vintage jet because this and the Meteor were the first two British jet aircraft to fly in World War II, albeit the Meteor saw service and the Vampire did not. The Vampire did in fact go on to be far more successful. It's an extremely simple airplane. It's an airplane with its sort of Spitfire technology with cable operating controls. It doesn't have the sophistication of a modern jet with good fuel control units and things like that, but it's a nice, simple, basic airplane.
This was a formation which brought out of retirement former Red Arrows pilots and reunited them with ex-military colleagues. It brought back memories for them all. Memories of training flights in jets which have proved extremely successful with air forces all around the world. Together again, they're a truly evocative sight.
It might not look like it, but this is one of the most remarkable aircraft of recent times, and it's set to become one of the most influential going into the next century. It's the McDonnell Douglas C-17, and with a squadron of these you could master the world. Well, that might be a slight exaggeration, but not since the late 19th century have world leaders had such power and influence at their command. This could become the battleship of the 21st century.
It's a force projection weapon system. It'll handle any requirement anywhere. So the versatility of this airplane for any humanitarian or contingency operation to land on short fields, to do airdrops, it's just tremendous.
The United States Air Force has long had the capability to move very large loads, with aircraft like the old C-141 and especially the enormous C-5 Galaxy. But the trouble is, they require equally enormous runways, and you don't very often find those near the front line. While the C-130 Hercules has provided the front line short takeoff and landing capability for many of the world's air forces, it can only carry a relatively small load. The new C-17 can do practically everything that the Hercules does, with a cargo almost as big as the Galaxy's.
The great thing about the C-17 is we can carry some of the Army's largest equipment, such as the M1 main battle tank, which weighs upwards of 130,000 pounds. 3 Apache helicopters. We can carry also 102 paratroopers, or we could reconfigure it very quickly to a flying hospital.
The C-17 has been in service for less than 4 years, but it's already proved itself. During the Bosnia crisis, it landed on the same runway as the Hercules and unloaded 4 times the cargo in a comparable time. But the C-17's load capacity is only half the story. Its cockpit wouldn't be unfamiliar to a fighter pilot.
Basically, the brains of the airplane is right here. These 4 displays you got up front, you can access the mission computers. There's 3 mission computers on board, and they pretty much run the whole airplane.
Is it a nice aircraft to fly?
It's unbelievable. It's just fingertip flying. It's not big manhandling at all. It's just very fine touches.
A lot of people ask if the left-handed stick is awkward. It's not. It's not any more awkward than the left hand. It's flying a yoke with the left hand. It's very natural, very easy to get to use. And the heads-up display allows us to do precision landings on short fields, being able to look through the approach. And it's very difficult now to go back to a heads-down type environment.
Perhaps the most incredible feature of the C-17 is its ability, with a maximum all-up weight equivalent to a fully laden 777, to stop in less than 3,000 feet.
So that, good correction, 100 feet, 60 feet. The thrust reversers, upon landing, don't really do a whole lot for braking action, but what they do is they dissipate all the energy that's produced out of the back end of the engines. So the energy that is pushed out of the back of the engines now is vectored up, as opposed to commercial airliners that vectors it in all directions. And basically, it puts more weight on the ground and makes your braking more efficient.
The brakes themselves, I mean, they get up to a fantastic temperature.
Yes, they absorb a lot of energy, and normally a normal landing or a max effort landing is going to put your brake temperatures in the neighborhood of 400 to 500 degrees Celsius.
And you just stand on them?
You pretty much stand on them, yeah. Anti-skid is a wonderful thing.
ARW, air refueling.
The C-17 epitomizes the recent shift in emphasis from air superiority fighters to rapid reaction air mobility. And the RAF is seriously looking at it as its next strategic transport.
So this is the future?
Correct. This is the future.
In the last couple of years, the cost of some flights has dropped dramatically due to a whole posse of new pile-em-iron, flog-em-cheap airlines who are undercutting the big boys to the extent that you could now pay more for your taxi to the airport than you do for the flight you're about to get on. But what's it like on one of these low-cost, but certainly no-frills airlines? I'm about to find out. In the 1970s, Freddie Laker sent transatlantic fares tumbling. Then, in America, deregulation meant that companies like People Express and Southwest could pioneer no-frills, low-cost service. We in Europe could just look on in envy. But from the 1st of April this year, the European Commission deregulated our continent's skies. Now, any European airline can fly between any 2 points and charge any price.
I believe that if you reduce the price of flying, more people will actually fly. So observing the high fares in Europe, it was not difficult to imagine why a low-cost airline like EasyJet would succeed. We do things differently. We do not offer a free meal on board. We do not actually pay a commission to the travel agents, so people book direct with us and we save the cost of the commission. And also we use a cheaper airport like Luton rather than using a congested airport like Heathrow.
If it's cheap, I'm for it.
I mean, when you fly for an hour and a half or an hour and three-quarters, you don't need this.
I have to say it is a markedly different experience. It's kind of flying with the mystique stripped away. There's no efficient ticket, no seat allocation, no officious woman with blue eyeliner and a pillbox hat. You don't even get the sense that Joan Collins might be somewhere beyond that curtain having a manicure. It's more like going on a bus.
I believe that in the future we'll see an aviation market developing in two-tier fashion. We'll have the global alliances, and at the other extreme you will see companies like us flying the short-haul routes under 2 hours within Europe, where the fares are very expensive, substantially undercutting these fares.
At the other end of the scale, the planned alliance of two giants, American Airlines and British Airways, is the most controversial and crucial debate in civil aviation. A dream team or a nightmare?
What British Airways and American Airlines are asking to do is not just create an alliance, they're asking for antitrust immunity to collude on fares. Virgin, for instance, has a relationship with Continental, and we compete with each other. They buy seats on our planes, we buy seats on their planes, and then we compete in the marketplace. What BA and American are trying to do is literally to effectively merge, to collude on fares, and that they can set the fares at whatever level they wish.
Why do we have to have an alliance where one company like British Airways and the other like American Airlines should then get themselves into a position of dominating hundreds, not tens, not dozens, but hundreds of routes where the only way you fly is BA American.
People look at the market shares as they are today and say, these two companies account for X% of the market. I think these are very misleading figures, because with 5 new entrants into the market will change dramatically, and the share that we have will obviously go down. There'll be more competition, but we will have more opportunities too.
At the heart of the debate is the issue of access to Heathrow's takeoff and landing slots, connecting to more international destinations than any airport in the world, making this a global issue.
BA have something of a stranglehold over the slots at Heathrow, and therefore it's extremely difficult for the likes of Virgin Atlantic to get extra slots to compete with British Airways. We've managed to get about 1.5% of the slots at Heathrow. British Airways have many, many, many more.
If they're going to keep all the good slots for themselves, then no one else is going to fly.
There are slots which come out of the system every year. Heathrow is working more and more efficiently, so slots become available. They're available for new entrants. And we have indicated that up to a point, we're willing to help in making more slots available that can't come out of the existing system.
In general, greater competition does lead to reduced fares, but will BA's particular alliance plans increase competition or reduce it?
If you allow 2 people to create an 80% market share in a particular area, then you might as well allow Coke and Pepsi to get together, or Nike and Reebok to get together, or whatever. I mean, you might as well just throw out any competition policy you've got.
In fact, if they've got a monopoly, which it is, they're going to have any fare they like.
No, there won't be any monopoly, quite the contrary. And the size of the alliance between British Airways and American Airlines is a response to the existing alliances in the world. Lufthansa are a member of a huge alliance which would be actually bigger than any that we would be party to. There are other alliances. The Dutch have an alliance, the Swiss have an alliance, and if we in Britain aren't part of that system, I think there's a danger that Britain will be bypassed in the world of global aviation.
Decisions taken over the next few months concerning the proposed alliance will dictate for years to come how much we all have to pay for our airline tickets.
Last week, you may remember that Fenella had just about had it up to here with learning to fly. Our own L-plated pilot has had some turbulent times in the last 5 weeks in her quest to fly solo. Now, she's allowed us very kindly to share in her triumphs and tribulations on board a fast jet and her little Piper Cadet. But now is the hour of reckoning. Keep your fingers crossed, because Fenella is about to go it alone.
For the past 6 weeks, I've known that I've had to fly solo by the end of the series. After 5 consecutive touch-and-go circuits, I have a very funny feeling that this is it.
You're going to do exactly the same as you've just done with me for the last 8 circuits, without a problem.
Thank you.
The moment that I've been building up to has finally arrived. The panic, the fear, the total impossibility of the task that I'd felt earlier seems to slowly subside. The plane now seems strangely empty.
I believe I'm doing this.
Did ask your discretion, we can't.
Feet, raising flaps. Turning, 80 knots.
80 knots, 400 feet. Looking for the delightful sewage works, which are there. Delman checks.
To the King Air, I'm L-Speed again, so yeah, pretty here we are, just
Golf Juliet Oscar downwind.
Golf Juliet Oscar.
Oh my god, it's a plane right in front of me. Wait! I think it's on the circuit, that's right. Okay, climbing a little bit, lobing the nose, 22, turning onto the base leg. Base leg.
Thanks for the check, Golf Sierra Charlie.
Carburetor heat. Hot. Throttle back. 15. 2 stages of flap.
Golf
1,
Yankee Juliet, touch and go.
2. Trim forward.
Juliet, touch and go.
Looks like she's just started her descent, lowered the flaps. She should aim to be around about 500 feet about now.
Onto finals. 80 knots, runway, airspeed, runway, airspeed. Juliet Oscar, finals to land. Flat.
Juliet Oscar, land your discretion, wind calm.
70 knots. 70 knots. Line this sucker up here. Oh dear. Come on, honey. There you go. 70 knots. 70 knots. 70 knots it is. Looking good. Looking good. Runway, runway, runway. Bow back, bow back. Gaze.
The aim now is to keep the aircraft flying, keep it flying.
Keeping it flying, keeping it flying, keeping it flying, keeping it flying, 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 flying. We are down! Houston, we have landed and we aren't too far from that centre line. Woohoo! Watch your ears. I'm sorry. We've made it. Oh, thank you so much. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I'm shaking, I'm sweating. It must be joyous to watch. Hey! Oh my God, I don't believe I just did that. Oh, thank you. Oh my God.
So Fenella, quite understandably and quite rightly, is somewhere above Cloud9 at the moment. Happy landings for her, and indeed for the whole airshow crew, because we've come to the end of our series. I hope you've enjoyed all of the journeys with us. We've certainly had some strong and positive feedback from you, so thank you for that. We hope to be back in the Departures Lounge again soon. But in the meantime, if you're undertaking any flying yourself, have a safe and pleasant onward journey. From us all, bye-bye.